Have you ever wondered how to create positive habits? Have you ever wondered how to create these really powerful habits and changes in your life in order to stay or become a peak performer? Yes? Alright, that's exactly what I want to talk with you about in today's video. I want to share a little bit of background with you on the neuroscience of creating habits and making changes in your life, because I deeply believe that once you understand that, it will be a lot easier to create habits. And I want to share a step-by-step plan with you on how you can get started. And finally, I will also share with you 3 mistakes that I see people make when they are trying to create new habits. So let's jump into today's video. Hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Arndt and I'm a peak performance coach and stress management trainer. In this video today, I want to talk with you about how to create healthy habits, because on my YouTube channel I talk with you about a lot of different tools, tips and tricks and strategies on how you can become a peak performer. And of course, it is super important to understand how you can create habits, because only when you are creating habits, when you're creating new routines, when you're creating new behaviors, will you be able to move forward and will you be able to change things in your life in order to become a peak performer. So if you haven't checked out any of my other videos yet, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and that you check out all of the videos that I have created so far, which is over 150 different videos. And it would be great as well if you hit the notification bell, because every time I am releasing new content, which is every Monday and every Friday, you will receive a notification that new content is available. So let's jump into today's topic, because we have a lot of things to cover. I want to share with you a couple of different things that are really important to understand when you want to change habits, when you want to create new and healthy habits. And when we are talking about habit building, I think it is really important that we are talking about neuroplasticity and neuroscience. What is happening in your brain when you're trying to create new habits? Because as you might have experienced in your life before, when you are creating new habits, there's this little voice in your head that's coming right along and that tells you, no. Let's not do this. This is too dangerous. It makes me feel scared. I'm anxious. I don't really want to do this. All these different kind of things, right? You have probably experienced this before. So it is really important to understand neuroscience and neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity simply says that your brain can change. And I think it's really powerful and really important that you know that, because for a very long time, we believed that it is not possible. We believed that our neurons and all of the different brain circuits that we have in our brain are created over the first couple of years in our lifetime, and then they just stay stagnant. But that's not true. We have actually learned, and there's a lot of research and a lot of studies around this, that your brain can change. And we explain this with neuroplasticity, with epigenetics, all these different really cool and really powerful things. So what is happening when you're trying to change something? Well, first of all, it is important that you know from a stress management perspective, that's why I love to talk about stress, that every time, in every situation, all the time in your life, on a regular basis, right, all the time, even right now when you're watching this video, your body and your nervous system is constantly scanning the environment for threats. So we are trying to stay in a safe state, right? We're trying to just navigate along in our lives as we are used to. And what we have been repeatedly doing, so what you have been repeatedly doing over and over again, is for your brain the normal state, the safe state. That's really important to know. Whatever you have been repeatedly doing is the safe state for your brain. So now, when you're trying to change something, your brain is actually registering a threat, because your brain thinks, oh my God, something new is happening, something new is coming into my life, and it doesn't feel right because it's not what I have been used to be doing over the past. And it does not matter if the things that you're trying to integrate into your life is something positive or something negative, because your brain does not judge. Your brain does not know the difference between what is good for you and what is bad for you. Your brain only knows what you have been repeatedly doing over and over and over again. Okay, so that is really, really important to understand, first of all. Your brain wants to keep you in the safe state, and that safe state is what you have been repeatedly doing, no matter if it is good for you or bad for you. This also explains why people, for example, have addictions, why people become depressed or anxious, because when we are starting to do something, no matter if it is a thought or a behavior or an action, or a habit, when we are repeatedly doing it, our brain creates deep growths in our brain matter, and then that's how we are, right? Then we are saying, oh, this is just the way I am, this is blah, 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 right? You've heard all of these different things. So really important when you are starting to create change, if you want to create new habits in your life, it is important to understand how your nervous system is reacting to these new things that you're trying to implement in your life. Because I deeply believe that once you understand that your brain might be a little resistant to that new habit that you're trying to bring into your life, then you can relax into it. You can create awareness of, okay, hey, this is exactly what is happening right now when I'm trying to build this new belief or when I'm trying to create this new habit. It's always coming back to this really simple thing that says your brain just knows the normal state, it knows what you're repeatedly doing, and it wants to stay in that safe state, no matter if it is good for you or bad for you. No matter if you are in a job that you don't like. No matter if you are in an abusive relationship. All of these different things are explained with our brain. But the power is that you can change. By your choice and taking responsibility, you can change anything in your life. Even though maybe you listen to this right now and you're watching this video and you think, I'm not so sure, Julia. I'm not really sure if I can really change. I tell you, yes, you can. It depends, of course, on you. It depends on you to make that decision, to empower yourself, take responsibility for the actions that you're taking in your life, and be persistent, disciplined, and consistent in what you're trying to achieve. And that brings me to the next part of today's video, where I want to, of course, tell you now, okay, now you have understood what is happening in your brain when you're trying to change. Let's talk about how to create a habit. All right, now that you have understood what it means to change something from a neuroscientific perspective, let's get more into action and let's talk more tactically about how can you create a habit. First of all, of course, every time that you want to change something in your life, you need to create awareness around what you want to change. What is something in your life that you want to improve on? And then, of course, second of all, you need to create a goal. You need to set a goal. And I have a video on this, on how to set powerful goals in order to make sure that you are successful. So make sure to check out that video. When I'm talking about goals, I always talk about SMART goals. This is really important because we need to set goals that are realistic, that are timely, that are attainable, all of these different things. Make sure you check out the other video. I'll explain all of these different things in detail, but it needs to be a realistic goal. It needs to be something small. This is really important. When we are creating new habits, it's important that you are not setting yourself up for failure by creating something that is super out of your reach. Maybe that's your long-term goal, right? In this regard, we can talk about short-term goals and long-term goals, because maybe in 12 months from now, you want to, for example, run a marathon, right? Let's make it super simple. But it doesn't mean that in a month from now, you will be able to run 26 miles. It's probably going to be a smaller goal. Like, for example, I just want to get into the habit of running in the first place because maybe you have never ran in your life before. So you can create large goals, right, or longer term goals. And then you also have to make sure that you set milestones in order to set yourself up for success. it is important, really, really important and vital that you start small and that you do something that is realistic for you. If you say that you want to become more fit and more active, and then you think that you can work out 5 or 6 or 7 times per week, that's probably pretty unrealistic. So be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, what is really possible for me to do? And set that small goal and stick to that. And try to just do that in the first place. Because here's the secret. No matter how small the goal is, if you are creating a small change every day in your life, even if it is just 1% per day, so something really teeny tiny different to what you have been doing before, it is going to be a 37% change over a year. And that is really powerful, and that's a lot of change. And of course, especially now that you know that your brain is responding to change, you need to make sure that you are adapting your brain and that you are helping your brain to get used to that new state, and that you're showing your brain that what you are doing is still safe and still good for you. All right, you got me? So step number 1 is creating smart goals. Step number 2 is making sure that that smart goal is small. And then of course, in the third step, it is about you getting out there and testing it out. It is important that you are understanding yourself better and that you understand what is realistic for you, what is attainable for you, what is timely for you, and what is not. Because sometimes we might think that we are able to do something, and that is okay because we are imperfect human beings and we're just all trying our best to do something good for ourselves, which is already amazing in the first place. So test it out. See how it works for you, and if it doesn't work for you, if maybe it was not as realistic as you thought it were in the first place, then that's totally okay, all right? It's totally okay as long as you are honest with yourself and that you do not give up. That's important, right? Because if we are talking about creating new habits and new repeated patterns in order to make sure that we are creating new circuits in our brains, it is important that we are sticking to it, all right? So test it out. And then in the fourth step, it is important that you evaluate what worked, what didn't work. Did it feel good for you? Was it maybe too much? Was it too little? Can you do more? And then, of course, continue doing it. One of the questions that I often get from my audience is, how long does it take to create a new habit? Well, there's unfortunately no simple answer to that question. If you're looking at literature, if you're looking at research studies, there's really anything out there from it takes 15 days to 30 days to 45 days to 200 and something days. But at the end of the day, the question is, how long have you been doing that other habit? How long have you been repeatedly doing something over and over and over again? How often have you been repeatedly thinking the same thought patterns? Because those grooves are pretty deep in your brain. So it will take a little while until you will create a new habit and it becomes more automatic, right? So this is really, really important to note. So don't give up. The question is, what kind of lifestyle do you want to create? Why do you want to do it, right? There's that motivation factor and that big why of why do you want to do something? Why do you want to change something in your life? And that better be really powerful, because only then will we be able usually to stick to our new goals. So that's really important. There's no right or wrong answer in how long it takes. I would say in general, it is important to really kind of force yourself through this new habit creation for at least 21 to 28 days to just start that new habit and then just start that new pattern, and then evaluate what's working for you and then iterate along the way and just not give up, of course, what I already mentioned. And when you are following this process, when you are sticking to this kind of plan, then you can create really powerful habits in your life. No matter if you want to improve your time management, set better boundaries, be more productive, there are so many powerful habits that you can create in your life in order to become or stay a peak performer. So make sure that you're checking out all of these other videos that I just blended in here in the video as well, because they are really, really helpful for you in order to now get into action, right? And understand what are the different tools that I need in order to become a peak performer. And I also have a video on 5 high performance habits that will change your life. So make sure that you check that out as well. And finally, as a bonus, I want to share with you the 3 biggest mistakes that I see people make when creating creating new habits or when they are setting the goal of making changes in their life. The biggest mistake that I see people make when they are trying to create new habits is that they are putting too much on their plate. They think that, okay, I want to create a new life for myself, so I'm going to work out, I'm going to eat healthier, I'm going to go to bed earlier, I'm going to be super productive, and I'm going to manage my time and all these different things. And that's not very realistic. It is important that you're giving yourself time to test one thing out for a series of weeks before you create a new goal. And that is a lot more powerful than if you're trying to do multiple things at the same time, and it's probably more sustainable because my experience is when you're trying to do too many things at the same time that you're setting yourself up for failure. And that brings me to the second mistake that I see people make, because a lot of people are not specific enough when they are creating a goal, when they are creating something that they want to change, a new habit. So for example, I just talked to a client of mine and she said to me, I want to be better and calmer with my son. And I want to spend more quality time with him, and I just want to have a better relationship with my son. And I'm like, okay, that's a really great goal, right? That's a really good idea and a really nice habit that you want to create. But what specifically would success look like to you? So, okay, I understand that you want to have a better relationship with your son, but how would that translate into creating something new or creating a new habit with your son? And then she got more specific. Okay, I want to spend more quality time with him, maybe 2 times per week. I want to take him to the park in the afternoon. Or I want to work on my own self-limiting beliefs in order to be calmer with him when we are in a stressful conflict situation, right? Those are more specific things. So it is really, really important that when you are trying to create a new habit, that you're really specific on your goal. Let me give you another example. For example, you want to create better boundaries in your life. You want to have a better time management schedule. And with that comes the setting boundaries, right? And so maybe you say, I want to be better at setting boundaries. That's not a really good goal. That is a good goal. I'm glad that you in the first place think about that. But then the question is, what does that translate into? What does it mean to you to set better boundaries? Would it be, for example, that you're looking through your calendar and you are canceling the invites to meetings that are no longer helpful for you, right? Then that is more specific. Or does it mean that every day, every morning, you're setting yourself up for success by checking your time and your calendar, being clear on your priorities, and then following up based on that information with how you are scheduling your day and how to talk with people about what's possible and what's not possible, right? That has become more specific. So being specific is really, really important. Don't make the mistake of being like, oh yeah, I'd like to do this. And then nothing is ever going to happen because you haven't been specific enough. And when your goal wasn't really specific, then you didn't even really know what to do in the first place, right? That's kind of that connection. And that's why it is so important to be specific. And finally, another big mistake that I see people often make is expectations. It comes back to setting too unrealistic goals, right? Where it's kind of all the same thing, but it's really important to talk about this for a second as well. It is important that you are setting the right expectations with yourself. If you are having too high expectations of yourself, you will disappoint yourself. And then when you are disappointed, it creates a negative experience. And from that negative experience, you are less likely and less motivated to move forward, right? It's super, super simple. And it's something super human. When we are setting too high expectations, our expectations are not met, we are getting disappointed, and then we are not really motivated anymore to move forward. So keep your expectations low and you will never be disappointed. I really love this quote. I think it's really powerful and I think it is very, very true. Let me give you another example, a personal example about this as well, about expectations. Over the last 4 weeks, I set myself the goal to go outside every morning, to go for a 1-mile run. And it's been really, really great. This experience has been wonderful and I'm going to do another video about this that you can check out. But it's been really powerful because I set the expectation and the goal really, really low. I set the bar really low. My goal was to get outside. as soon as I step outside, I kind of met my goal. And that's of course very motivating, right? Because I know that when I put on my running clothes and I step outside the door, I'm already kind of putting a check mark on my goal. I wasn't that specific on that 1 mile, I have to say that, because of course otherwise I wouldn't really have met my goal, right? But it's really important for me that I'm creating realistic goals. And so it was really wonderful to not need to have that expectation every day that I need to go for a 3 or 4 or 5 mile run. The goal was to move my body no matter how long. And over the last 30 days, I've been running every day. Sometimes I literally ran 0.8 miles because I was really unmotivated and I didn't really feel like going for a run, but I did it anyway because I set the goal and I wanted to create this new habit. And sometimes I went for a 4-mile run or for a 4.5-mile run, but I never had a very high expectation of myself of what that goal should look like, right? So, and that is the difference between being specific and yet keeping the expectations on a realistic level. You see what I'm saying? So it is important that you're realistic. So it could be, I want to work out 3 or 4 times a week. The question is how much. And the thing is that you are grateful and happy with anything that you achieve, no matter how small the changes, no matter how incremental the difference is. It does not matter as long as you do it. Because remember, even if you change something only 1% in a day, over the course of a year, you'll have a 37% change in regards to that specific goal or that specific habit that you wanted to create. So that's all I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you took a lot of information away from today's video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. Ask me any questions that you have. I'm more than happy to answer them. And I hope to see you in the next video.